let's review. Oh, wrong game. Huh. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. As you see in the intro, I am not reviewing Spider-Man 2019, but I am reviewing God of War Ragnarok, which came out about 2 weeks ago. So finally, after I just checked 35 hours in the game, I am going to be reviewing this. So yeah, God of War Ragnarok is a great game. Honestly, one of the best AAA experiences of 2022. But it does have some issues that I will dive into. So yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, this game, in my opinion, story is way better than 2018's. I had no issue with 2018's, but it just felt stale. The game felt longer than it should have been. It just, after a while, you were just kind of still trying to let the ashes go for his mother and Kratos' wife. But it was honestly, it was an alright story. I wasn't really sold with it, and that's why I really wasn't excited for this game. I wanted to play it, but I wasn't sitting there chomping at the bit for it to come out. So, but Ragnarok is definitely an upgrade in this series. I will say this is a two-part series. This is the last game in the, I guess, yeah, series of this God of War Norse trilogy, or not trilogy, Norse series. So, but Kratos and Atreus really feel more realistic, especially when you get into mid-game and even late game, as you see their relationship grow as a father and son, and even as individuals. It's a very cool experience to see them grow. As in God of War 2018, there Kratos is a very obviously war-hardened god killer who just kind of wants to retire but has to do this last thing for his wife. And Atreus is this young kid who wants to seek adventure and see the realms. And it's very cool to see them change throughout this game. I won't spoil anything, but I will say that is the one reason I should think you should pick up the game, is their story that itself is beautiful. It's well crafted. And the side characters in this game are great as well. You have the two dwarf guys come back, Sindri and Brock. They are great. I do have you get a little chuckles, and you really enjoy even their characters have quite a character development you really didn't expect in the game. So it's definitely very cool to see as the game goes on. So yeah, the combat in this game is very refreshing. The combat 2018's was fun, but it just didn't have all the combos that this game introduces. This game gives you an arsenal that is very fun to use, that will be expanded upon through the story. That's all I'm going to say, but it does get expanded, and it's really fun. The combos and the skill tree that you get to use and unlock further combos and more weapon uses is super fun, and it keeps you kind of coming back for more and actually wanting to fight more than just explore. I found myself wanting to fight anything that walked, as I just wanted to try all the new combos, and they were just great and refreshing. Also, the defense and counters in this game is really fun. The bosses in this game are difficult, but they're doable and challenging. It's not going to make you rage unless you just walk into a game or into a boss battle not high enough level. It will surely let you know when you're not high enough. But it's very fun, and it's what I love about boss battles is when they get you coming back for more. Like when you lose, but you gotta finish it because you know you can. I found myself quite a bit on that last sliver of health of those bosses, and I died, and I was like, I can't just quit. I can't. So this game's combat and the weapons and the combos you get to use are so great, and an upgrade from the original, which honestly, this game has some of the best weapon combat in 2022, and I'm even going to say better than 2018's God of War. So yeah, the DualSense controller, I cannot harp how awesome it is, the way they use the DualSense controller in these games. In this game, when you are kind of dealt with a QTE event where Kratos has to slice through some ice or cut some vines or something, you feel the grip, like you feel the weight of the axe or the Chaos Blades when you're having to clear that. And it's so immersive and so fun to see how, even in the new generation, how Sony is able, and these developers are able to keep you immersed with a controller that 10 years ago just vibrated, and you were like, okay, whatever. Also, the vibrations in this game are pretty good too. Like when there are big creatures around and they're walking, it vibrates your controller with the sound, so it immerses you more. It doesn't feel cheap and it doesn't feel tacked on, which is something I really have issues with a lot of AAA games or even AA games. They just tack it on because it's part of the experience in games, and there's no work or effort put into it. So yeah, um, the gods in this game are way different than what you see in, I mean, honest, what we all know them in Marvel. They are not the Marvel gods. They are deep and intense characters, and they all have different motivations, and they all are very realistic crafted, and the way they act is due to the environment they're raised in. Like, as Kratos and Atreus, I mean, you see how they act. Just wait till you meet the Norse gods. They're very cool to meet, and I won't spoil any of them due to just those encounters are so fun. Except Thor. Thor has been shown in trailers, so I will talk about Thor. Thor is an interesting character in this game because he is way different than what I even thought he would be. Um, and you just gotta try it. He's a man who is broken, but in my opinion, is secretly wanting redemption and to prove himself. And that's all I'm gonna give you. But I recommend you check this game out for the god as well. They're very interesting and crafted very well. Also, the boss battles that deal with gods are so cool. You gotta play it. So, also, the realms that you visit in this game, now you do revisit some of the ones from 2018, but you get to see some new ones. And they're beautiful and they're greatly crafted, and the realms all come with things you can do that are similar and different than the other realms you visit. It's really fun to see and understand the lore of these realms and what happened to cause them where they're at today in the game. It's very fun to see. It's very well crafted, and honestly, you kind of go into the realms not wanting to explore. You really want to do the story, but you just start doing it and you just get lost in it, and you start doing side quest after side quest, or they're called favors. You start doing favor after favor. You start to kind of interact with the world, get the lore, and understand what this realm is and how it is the way it is, and it's just very fun to explore those. Also, I want to say this game, for being a PS4 developed game, is very pretty. Santa Monica Studios did a great job crafting a beautiful world for PS4 hardware. That is what has happened with this game. This was a PS4 hardware game due to the COVID and the PS5s being scalped. And it's so pretty. Now, you do still have the shimmy or move through a tight corridor loading section so they can load it, but it is well worth doing that over and over again because it is super pretty, and the environments and seeing all the plant life, the snow, even the water is super pretty. It's a pretty game, and I highly recommend if you're on PS5, use performance mode, and it still looks beautiful, and you get those crispy frames. Super good. So, the game has different ways, like I said earlier, of expanding the lore. You have artifacts, poetry, and scrolls that really tell you about the world and characters that you never really meet, but you get the background and understand who they were and how they got to their death. And it's very fun to read them. If you're a reader, granted, I will say, you're probably not going to read all of them, but they're fun to skim through. But just the lore about these realms and why they are the way they are, very interesting. Like, there's this one scroll that talks about this man who wanted to find his son. And I won't spoil that quest because it is one that you do find pretty easily, but it's a super fun quest and just kind of parallels Kratos and Atreus in a side quest way, and it's very fun to reflect on that and understand how Kratos and Atreus could be the same if they were just mere mortals. So, now, one of my biggest issues with this game is the puzzles. They're not bad, they're not hard, they're just kind of infuriating, and some of them are crafted in ways that honestly They could have been done, but it felt a little lazy. Especially when they introduce different elements once you unlock a certain part in the game, where you kind of just sit there frustrated because it's more tedious than it is fun and challenging to figure out. Like it gets to the point where, in my opinion, the puzzles aren't fun. They're just kind of annoying, and you'll end up looking up a guide because you just kind of get irritated, especially in a game called God of War. You know, like I want to go kill people and do combos. Like I'm good with puzzles, but don't make them like Tomb Raider, Uncharted. Like I'm not. If I want to play those games, I'm gonna go play those. So make the puzzle a little more simplistic. I just don't. I never really understood the reasoning for these intense puzzles, other than the rune puzzles or the rune chests that are in the original. Honestly, I understand why those are hard because that is you seeking that out. But some of the puzzles in the story aren't. They're not hard. They're just. They're just there. Like they don't really add or really create an engrossing gameplay. And like the issue is like you'll walk up to it and obviously you haven't figured it out, but within 5 seconds, Mimir or Atreus will be like, "Oh, we should do this." It's like, let me figure the puzzle out at least, and then I'll ask for help. That's the one thing they didn't really time that right. It was like if you can't figure it out immediately, sorry, bro, we're gonna have to figure this out for you. Sorry. So yeah, puzzles, they're puzzles. So if you like puzzles, you'll probably like them. But if you're kind of on the fence in the middle like me, you'll kind of get a little frustrated. Um, Also, this game introduces a gameplay feature that kind of I don't like about games sometimes, and that is quests are introduced that you cannot complete when they're introduced. Like it's something that keeps you going throughout the game, and I understand like that is something that keeps you kind of engrossed in that quest, and it's kind of like one of the to-do lists in the back of your head to keep you kind of going on it. But with me, if you introduce a quest to me, I'm gonna want to finish it before I do anything else. And so this quest specifically it deals with birds that you have to find, and there are certain gameplay elements that aren't introduced yet that don't get introduced till mid and late game that you need to do this. So you're pretty much kind of forgetting about it most of the game, and then you're like, oh yeah, I should do that. And so you're having to backtrack, which is not a big deal, but it's just like you should have given it to me at the beginning. Uh, so I think that this game has really great quests, and I think honestly they're really engrossing. I just really wish that like these side quests they introduced you could do now instead of having to wait later and forgetting and beating the game and being like, oh crap, totally forgot to do that. Especially if you're trying to do 100% like I am. I'm considering it, and so that was part of the thing. It's like, dude, I just want to do it now so I can get it done and move on for the next trophy. So that's my point on it. Now, this game introduced a mechanic that isn't like crazy revolutionary or new necessarily, but it refreshes the gameplay of going to objective. There's a mechanic that you have wolves on a sled that you ride around with, and there's a point in the quest of the main story where you have to use them to find your next point to go. And it's really cool because they use the way their heads turn and kind of how their ears perk up to show you where they're going. And it's really refreshing to see that in a game because it can get a little taxing and annoying when you're just going objective to objective on a compass at the top of your screen. And so it was really cool and refreshing because it threw me off guard. I was like, man, this is really cool. I love that you get to use that in this game. And I really hope that Santa Monica or even other AAA studios and Sony keep this trend where they kind of find new ways to engross you and really change up the way you're going to go in the gameplay, because it's a really cool mechanic that shows that. And this game is kind of melds together with other AAA Sony experiences, and I'm going to make a video here soon that talks more about that. I feel like Sony is getting way too connected with all their exclusives. Like one of the things that made it really cool back in the 2010s and even the PS4 era was that all the exclusives were different. They weren't really kind of the same, and you kind of see the elements of different games like Horizon, Uncharted, kind of go into this game that, in my opinion, doesn't really help it. It honestly, it just kind of makes you go, oh, well, that's from Horizon Zero Dawn, or that's from Uncharted. Like, okay, like, and it kind of like hurts the experience. Like, and I want to say this is a great AAA experience. I recommend you play this. I will say I recommend you pick this game up, especially with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Christmas coming up. You're gonna have these sales that will allow you to pick up the game. I highly recommend you play it. Just for me, as I play many Sony exclusives, I really find myself seeing them melt together, and that really hurts the creativity and difference of games on the Sony platform. And I really hope that Sony kind of makes other games that aren't just third-person dad simulators or third-person adventure games that kind of are the same but use different mechanics, but you can tell that, oh, well, hey, this kind of looks like God of War, or hey, this looks like Uncharted. So, but yeah, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you're new here, why don't you subscribe? I'd appreciate it. It's free. We do love getting new people in the community and interaction in the comments. I recommend you guys discuss this with me, what you liked about the game if you've played it, or what you thought I said that was wrong. I would love to talk to you in the comments. And make sure you like the video, and if you really enjoyed it and you've already subscribed, hit that notification bell so you kind of know when I upload next, because as I am a college student, I do try to upload twice a week, and it's usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, but with my finals coming up, it's looking like it's going to be a little sporadic. But please stick around, as I will be trying to keep a more set schedule. But again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, take care. Have a good night. See you guys later.